most of Asians are sharing similar concepts, but there are some things very specifically important and emphasized among Koreans. One is cheon, which is translated, you can say faith. Like you have to keep your dignity, your honor, things are very important. So you value this, you try to have your name, faith is, the cheon is important. And it's similar to cheon, but we call it 기분. There's no appropriate language, English word for 기분, which is like emotions or feelings. It's related. So when somebody's 기분 is not good, his 기분 is down, or you need to leave that person alone. And this 기분 is very important because for Koreans, if you hurt somebody's 기분 and achieve something good, we don't really consider it as a good success. Okay, so we really need to consider somebody's 기분. And when you say 기분, there is a word comes with 눈치. There's no word for English, which is like a sense of assessing somebody's 기분. So by just observing somebody's gesture, face expression, tone of voice, you observe those things and check somebody else's 기분. So you're trying to make a 기분 pleasant for your teachers, parents, your friends. This is really important. So that sense has to be developed and practiced. And with those kind of concepts behind, we have a very foundational perspectives. And I gave you a handout. This one, actually there are a list of guidelines when I was asked to help this program, this session. And it was so academically asked questions. So I asked my husband, who's teaching intercultural studies in graduate school, to help me to come out with the answers. So he gave me some answers. I put the sheets, because you can save your time. I don't have time. You can read it. And I want to share more practical that you can, really face from my experience. First one is tradition and beliefs and attitude. The status is really important for Koreans. And it's not only the position of the business way, but also it includes age and your position like teachers or like elder and higher rank in your relationship. It's important. The funny thing is, most of Koreans, when they meet first time, they ask age, how old are you? So they can arrange their relational rank. And there were some situations in Faith Academy, not only Faith Academy, most of Korean communities, especially MKs, when they're following their parents' different words, they mix up their school system. So sometimes they go lower than their usual grade, which means the child is older than other classmates. But that is issue for them because they are older, even though they are same class. And we have a different language for them, like called 언니, 오빠, 형, which is like ate and kuya. And sometimes that brings conflict among students because you are same class, but I'm older, so you should call me 형. You treat me as 형, which is older. So if you, of course, it depends on the personality, but if you are more authoritative, if you want to show your power, you want to control your class. And that will bring some conflict among students, which brings conflict among parents too sometimes. So you want to, you should be known. I don't ask you to act on it, but just know these things are happening. I was helping kindergarten last semester as a volunteer, and then teacher was asking, Eunice, there were some cases, 2 Korean girls were fighting, and can you find out? I couldn't understand. And then these kindergarten girls, they were fighting because one is older than the other one, just a few months older, but then age was different because it's a different year born. So she was asking her to call me 언니, and you need to listen to me. So, things are happening there. Gender roles. Most of Korean women are responsible for housework and families, and fathers are working outside. But many of new generation women are working outside, but still housework is considered as a woman's job, which is not fair. But my husband is trying to help. That's good. Korean missionary families, which are the parents of faith students, they also practice similar thing. Fathers are busy with the ministry outside, and mothers are the one who's taking care of family and concerned about child's school life. But the language barrier. So these mothers, even though they are responsible, they want to, but they are hesitating to involve with the school activity. Sometimes they don't open emails from school and there's miscommunication, broken communication, misunderstanding comes. But you have to understand, because of the Jaeun, the mothers, they cannot really approach teachers because they cannot speak English well, and it makes them feel shameful or inferior sometimes. So these kind of things are going on. And sense of self and space. So we don't get so close, we don't touch when you're talking, unless you're very close, and you don't hug Koreans when you're meeting first time, unless you're very, very close. And then you bow and you shake hands. Even shaking hands, you don't do it. Older or higher ranked person need to initiate first. So as he says, the Korean students are not very active, doing this because they are not told, to do that. They need to wait for teachers or older people to approach them so they can respond. Another thing is like a community ideas. We use my word ours instead of my. My family, Americans are saying, but we call it our family, our sister, our school. Sometimes we call it, not sometimes, most of Korean people saying our wife, our husband. And my friend who understand Korean language were surprised, like, our wife? We are sharing wife? But that's the way we are using the words. And the funny thing is, younger generation, they don't have this kind of concept of community and belonging, but they still use this term when they're speaking Korean. So this is just there. Relationship, family is most important thing for the Koreans. Of course, Philippines, they are most clan-centered and family-centered, but Koreans are also. So keeping family name, honor, and doing the hard work for the family, and obey their parents, especially father figure, is very important, and that's the tradition, and that's most of case still practiced here. And this is the last part, but I really want to focus. Education is very, very crucial for Koreans. It's sad, but students in Faith Academy, even parents, they're also having same perspective. Most of Korean parents really push their children to have a good result, good grade from school. And the fruits of their education or their hard work is always proved by what kind of university they enter. So going into good university is the goal of children, students, from very young age. And sometimes Korean parents are very frustrated when they receive report cards. So I heard some comments, unpleasant experience from faith teacher like Eunice. Sometimes Korean parents are calling me during Christmas break, which is not really supposed to be happening. And they're complaining about their child's grade, and they're asking what to do, how to make up, I'm sorry for that happens, but that happens because the education and good high school report is very, very important for Korean students because they need to go into the good university, okay? And they really value this. So sometimes the students are not very active in the class, but they're really concerned about their outcome, the grades. And most of the students are even doing the funny way of achieving good grade. Maybe some of you who is returning faculty have experience of this. I am not very happy to share this story, but I'm just sharing the fact that I know, so you can be aware of it. And I don't know, my time is up. I asked my husband for this. You can read some of the way to have a better communication with the Koreans, but this one is just general. Not everybody is like this. Everybody has different personalities, and the younger generation is a little different from traditional way of Koreans doing, but it'll help. You can just have as a reference.